The chain scraped against stone as Izira stumbled forward, her bare feet finding purchase on unfamiliar ground. 3 months pregnant, sold like livestock, and standing before a creature whose heat she could feel radiating across the space between them. This was how far she'd fallen. The dragon shifter's breath stirred her hair as he circled her, assessing his purchase. She couldn't see his face, couldn't see the disgust she knew must be there, but she could smell the mineral tang of his power, feel the weight of his judgment. Her hand found the small token hidden in her pocket, Aunt Mary's final gift, and she remembered the words whispered as her own family led her away. "You are not disposable, Izira. Never forget that." The dragon stopped moving. When he spoke, his voice rolled like thunder through her chest. "Tell me, little wolf, why would your alpha sell his own mate?" Izira lifted her chin toward where she sensed him standing, her sightless eyes reflecting the torchlight she couldn't perceive. "Because," she said, her voice steady despite everything, "he never wanted me in the first place." Chapter 1. Izira had known she was different from the moment her gift manifested at age 12. While other wolves in the Moonshade Pack relied on sight to navigate their world, she experienced everything through layers of scent, sound, and sensation that painted reality in ways they could never understand. She could smell a lie before it left someone's lips, the acrid tang of deception mixed with the sharp citrus of nervous sweat. She could hear a heartbeat quicken from across a room, identifying fear, attraction, or anger in the subtle changes of rhythm. The world spoke to her in a language her family couldn't comprehend and didn't want to learn. "Izira, where did you put my blue shirt?" her mother's voice carried from upstairs that morning, the same irritated pitch it always held when addressing her youngest daughter. "Hanging in your closet, right side, third item from the door," Izira called back, not bothering to move from where she sat at the kitchen table. She could smell the lavender detergent from here, could track the scent signature through the house like following a map only she could read. "How do you always know these things?" Her brother Mason pushed past her roughly, the scent of his cologne too strong as always, masking the underlying smell of insecurity that clung to him. "It's creepy." Izira's fingers found her teacup with practiced ease. "I pay attention." "You're showing off," he muttered, "making the rest of us look bad." That was the crux of it, really. Her siblings, Mason and her younger sister Brenna, couldn't stand that their blind sister navigated the world more efficiently than they did. Her parents preferred to pretend her abilities didn't exist, treating each demonstration of her gift as an inconvenience rather than something remarkable. Only Aunt Mary, her father's sister, ever celebrated what Izira could do. "Good morning, little warrior." Aunt Mary's warm voice preceded the scent of rose oil and old books as she entered the kitchen. Her hand touched Izira's shoulder gently. She never grabbed or startled, always announced herself with that familiar greeting. "I brought you something." Izira's fingers explored the object Mary pressed into her hands. Smooth wood, cool to the touch, with carefully carved finger holes along its length. A wooden flute. "For me." "For making music," Mary said softly, pulling out a chair beside her. "Your gift is extraordinary, Izira. What you can perceive, the way you read people, anticipate needs, sense danger. Most wolves never develop that level of awareness even with sight. You experience the world through sound and scent better than anyone I know. This flute will let you create your own sounds, express what you feel." "Mom says I should try harder to be normal," Izira whispered, running her fingers over the flute's polished surface. The wood was smooth and warm now from her touch, expensive craftsmanship. Aunt Mary had spent real money on this, which would infuriate Izira's mother. "Your mother is afraid," Mary said bluntly. "She doesn't understand what she can't see, and your father enables her ignorance. But mark my words, child, there will come a day when your gift saves lives. When it saves you." Izira wanted to believe her. She held the flute close, memorizing the feel of it, the weight, the grain of the wood beneath her fingertips. "Thank you, Aunt Mary. Always." Mary's chair scraped back. "Now, I hear your mother coming down the stairs with that particular march. That means she's found something to complain about. Brace yourself." Sure enough, her mother's voice cut through the morning peace. "Mary, what are you doing here so early? And what did you give Izira? She doesn't need more things to fumble with." Izira felt Aunt Mary's hand tighten briefly on her shoulder before releasing. "I gave her a flute, Patricia. She's 23 years old, she can own a flute. She can barely take care of herself. The last thing we need is more noise in this house when she can't even see what she's doing. The familiar shame washed over Izira, hot and acidic in her throat. She'd heard variations of this speech her entire life. Her mother's footsteps approached, and Izira caught the scent of her frustration. Burnt sugar and stale coffee, always the same when Patricia was working up to something. "Actually, there's a reason I came early today," Mary said, her voice taking on that careful neutrality that meant trouble. "The council wants to meet with Izira." The kitchen went silent except for the tick of the wall clock Izira had learned to ignore years ago. Her father's newspaper rustled as he finally paid attention to the conversation. "The council." Her father's voice held surprise and something else. A predatory interest that made Izira's skin prickle. Why would they want to meet with Izira? They didn't specify, Mary said, but Izira could hear the lie in the slight elevation of her pulse, the breath held just a fraction too long before speaking. They requested her presence at the pack house tonight at 7. Izira's fingers traced the smooth wood of her new flute. "Should I be worried?" "No," her mother said too quickly, and Izira's gift screamed at the deception. "This is good news. Maybe they've finally found a purpose for you. A way you can contribute to the pack." "Patricia," Mary started, a warning note creeping into her tone. "Don't," her father interrupted. "This family has carried the burden of Izira's situation for long enough. If the council has a solution, we should hear them out." "Burden." The word landed like a physical blow. Izira's grip on the flute tightened until her knuckles ached. "Izira is not a burden," Aunt Mary said sharply. "She's a member of this pack with her own value and rights." "Rights?" Mason laughed from across the room. "She can't even hunt, can't fight, can't do half the things a proper wolf should do. What exactly are her rights based on?" This was her family. These were the people who should have protected her, celebrated her, seen her worth. Chapter 2. Izira said nothing, just sat with her flute pressed against her chest while her family debated her usefulness like she wasn't in the room. This was normal. This was her life. And some small stubborn part of her that sounded like Aunt Mary's voice refused to accept that it should be. "I'll take her to the meeting," Mary announced, her chair scraping back with finality. 7 o'clock. "And Patricia, Mason, if you can't speak about your daughter and sister with respect, perhaps you shouldn't speak about her at all." The tension crackled through the kitchen like lightning before a storm. Izira could smell her mother's anger flaring hot and chemical, her father's calculated silence, Mason's smug satisfaction. Her family's emotional landscape was as familiar to her as her own heartbeat, and just as inescapable. "Fine," her mother said coldly. "Take her. But when the council offers a solution to our problem, Mary, I expect you to support what's best for this family." "I'll support what's best for Izira," Mary countered. "That's not always the same thing." The hours until evening crawled by with agonizing slowness. Izira tried to occupy herself with familiar tasks, organizing her room by scent and texture, folding laundry with the precision that came from years of practice, anything to keep her mind from spiraling into anxiety about the council's summons. But her gift betrayed her, picking up every whispered conversation in the house, every furtive phone call her mother made with that particular tone that meant she was scheming. When Aunt Mary arrived to collect her at 6:30, Izira had changed into her nicest dress, deep green she'd been told, though color meant nothing to her, and braided her long dark hair away from her face. Her fingers had traced the style 3 times to ensure it was neat. "You look beautiful," Mary said softly, taking Izira's arm with the gentle pressure that meant guidance without force. "Whatever happens tonight, remember that you are valuable exactly as you are." "Why do I feel like you're preparing me for something terrible?" Izira asked as they walked toward the pack house, her feet finding the familiar path automatically. She'd walked this route thousands of times, knew every crack in the sidewalk, every overhanging branch. Mary's heartbeat elevated slightly. "Because you're perceptive and because I don't trust the council's sudden interest in you. But I'll be right there beside you. I won't let them," she stopped herself. "Won't let them what?" "Just remember what I said. You are not disposable, Izira. No matter what anyone tells you." The pack house loomed ahead. Izira felt the shift in air pressure as they approached the large building, smelled the mingled scents of dozens of wolves who'd passed through today. The council chamber was on the 2nd floor, and Mary guided her up the stairs with practiced ease, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. Alpha Garrett's scent hit her first, pine and power, the unmistakable authority of a pack leader. But there was something else mixed in tonight, something eager and calculating that made her wolf stir uneasily. "Mary. Izira." The Alpha's voice was smooth as he greeted them. "Thank you for coming. Please sit." Mary helped her into a chair, remaining standing behind her like a sentinel. Izira's hands folded in her lap, hiding their trembling. "I'll get straight to the point," Alpha Garrett continued, and Izira could hear him pacing, leather shoes on hardwood. "Our pack faces a unique challenge. The Nightshade pack to the north has been encroaching on our territory for months now. Their alpha, Rowan, is powerful but unmated. Territorial disputes between packs can be bloody, unless there's an incentive for alliance." Izira's stomach dropped. She knew where this was going before he said it. "We need someone from our pack to mate with Alpha Rowan. A gesture of good faith that would unite our territories peacefully." "And you want Izira?" Mary's voice was deadly quiet. "She's unmated, of appropriate age, and frankly," Alpha Garrett paused, choosing his words carefully, her condition makes her less valuable for other pack roles. But as a mate to another alpha, she could serve a crucial diplomatic function." "You want to trade her like property," Mary said flatly. "I want to prevent a war," Alpha Garrett countered, "and give Izira an opportunity to contribute to her pack in a meaningful way. Alpha Rowan has already agreed to the match. He's willing to overlook her blindness." As if her lack of sight was some shameful defect to be tolerated rather than simply a different way of experiencing the world. "What does Izira think?" Mary's hand landed on her shoulder. "Or doesn't her opinion matter?" The question hung in the air. Izira could smell the other council members now, 3 of them silent witnesses to this negotiation. She could smell her mother's perfume too, which meant Patricia had been invited to this meeting. Had probably helped orchestrate it. "Izira," Alpha Garrett addressed her directly for the first time. "This is a chance to prove your worth. To show that despite your disability, you can still serve your pack with honor. Alpha Rowan is expecting to meet you tomorrow night. What do you say?" Her throat felt tight. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse, to demand better, to stand up and walk out with Aunt Mary and never look back. But where would she go? She had no job, no independence, no way to survive outside the pack structure. Her family had made sure she remained dependent on them, incapable of striking out on her own. And underneath all of that was the terrible, desperate hope that maybe someone could want her. Maybe Alpha Rowan wouldn't see her as a burden. Maybe this was her chance to finally matter to someone. "I'll meet him," she whispered, and felt Aunt Mary's hand tighten painfully on her shoulder. "Izira, no." "Excellent," Alpha Garrett interrupted, satisfaction rolling off him in waves. "Then it's settled. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. We'll arrange everything." Chapter 3. The meeting with Alpha Rowan was arranged at the Moonshade Pack House. In one of the formal reception rooms Izira had only entered a handful of times in her life. Aunt Mary had insisted on being present, but Alpha Garrett had overruled her, stating that the introduction should be private, intimate. A chance for the 2 potential mates to connect without interference. Izira stood in the center of the room, her hands clasped in front of her, acutely aware of how she must look. Her mother had fussed over her appearance for hours, pinning and repinning her hair, changing her dress 3 times, all while muttering about making the best impression possible. As if Izira were a piece of merchandise being prepared for display. The door opened with a heavy creak that echoed through the space. Alpha Rowan's scent entered first, earth and smoke and something wild that made her wolf recoil instinctively. His footsteps were confident, measured, circling her the way a predator circles prey. "So you're the offering," he said, his voice a low rumble that held no warmth. "Turn around." Izira turned slowly, her jaw tight. She hated this, hated being assessed like livestock, but she forced herself to remain still. "They said you were blind," Rowan continued, closer now. His breath stirred her hair as he leaned in, inhaling her scent. "But they didn't mention how delicate you are. Breakable." "I'm stronger than I look," Izira said, lifting her chin. Her gift screamed warnings at her. This man was dangerous, calculating, wrong in ways she couldn't articulate. "Are you?" His hand caught her wrist suddenly, gripped tight enough to bruise. "Can you hunt? Fight? Defend territory. I can. You're useless, he interrupted, releasing her with a slight push that made her stumble. But you're pretty enough, I suppose. And the alliance is what matters. Your Alpha Garrett has agreed to very favorable terms for this union. Terms? As if she were a business transaction. Izira's hands curled into fists at her sides. However, Rowan's voice dropped lower, and Izira caught the chemical shift in his scent that meant deception was coming. There is one condition. The mating must be consummated tonight to seal the bond. To prove you're committed to this alliance. Tonight. Izira's heart hammered against her ribs. But we've only just met. Are you refusing? The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Because Alpha Garrett made it very clear that your pack needs this alliance. That you're eager to finally serve a purpose. Unless that was a lie. The trap closed around her with perfect precision. Refuse and she'd be blamed for failing her pack, for costing them a crucial alliance. Accept and she'd be mating with a man she'd known for 5 minutes. A man her every instinct told her to run from. I need time to think, she managed, hating how small her voice sounded. Think. Rowan laughed, sharp and cold. You're a blind Omega who's never contributed anything to your pack. This is the only value you'll ever have and you want time to think about it. The words struck like physical blows. She wasn't even an Omega. Her rank had never been formally tested because her family assumed her blindness made her too weak to be anything else. But she'd never corrected them, never fought back against their low expectations. I'll give you 1 hour, Rowan said, his footsteps moving toward the door. There's wine on the table. Have a drink, calm your nerves, and accept that this is the best offer you'll ever receive. When I return, we'll complete the bond. The door closed behind him with a finality that made Izira's knees weak. She stumbled toward where she remembered a chair being, found it, collapsed into it. Her whole body trembled with the effort of holding herself together. The wine. She could smell it from across the room, rich and dark and appealing. Maybe a drink would help. Maybe it would steady her racing thoughts long enough to figure out what to do. Izira stood, navigating to the table with careful steps. Her fingers found the bottle, then a glass. She poured carefully, the liquid's weight and flow familiar enough that she didn't spill. The first sip was smooth, warming her throat and chest. She drank deeper. By the third glass, the room felt softer around her edges. Her gift seemed muted, distant, like she was experiencing the world through thick cloth. When had she poured the third glass? She couldn't quite remember. The bottle was lighter now when she reached for it again. The door opened, Rowan returning already? But it hadn't been an hour, had it? Time felt slippery, unreliable. Feeling more relaxed? His voice came from right beside her, startling. When had he gotten so close? I don't. Something's wrong, Izira tried to say, but her tongue felt thick, clumsy. The room tilted dangerously. The wine is exactly what you needed. Rowan's hand caught her as she swayed. Just relax. This will be easier if you don't fight. Terror spiked through the fog, but her body wouldn't respond the way it should. Her gift was screaming at her. Danger, trap, run. But her limbs were heavy as stone, uncooperative. No, she managed, trying to pull away. Please. You agreed to this, Rowan said, guiding her toward what felt like a couch. Your Alpha agreed to this. Everyone agreed, Izira. Stop making it difficult. The world blurred and fractured. She was aware of being moved, of fabric against her skin, of her wolf howling inside her mind with rage and fear, but unable to surface, unable to protect her. The drug in the wine, because it had been drugged, she understood that now with crystal clarity, kept her trapped in her own body, conscious but helpless. Time became meaningless. Minutes or hours could have passed. All she knew was that when awareness finally returned fully, she was alone in the room, her dress disheveled, her body aching, and the metallic scent of blood mixing with Rowan's lingering presence. Chapter 4. Izira lay motionless on the couch, her mind slowly reassembling itself from the scattered pieces the drugged wine had left behind. Shame burned through her chest, hot and suffocating, though she knew this wasn't her fault. She'd been manipulated, drugged, violated. But the knowing didn't stop the feeling, didn't stop the voice in her head that sounded sickeningly like her mother. You should have been more careful. You should have known better. Her gift crept back slowly, sensory information filtering in like water through a cracked dam. The room smelled of wine and sweat and her own fear. The fabric of the couch was rough against her cheek. Somewhere in the building she could hear muffled voices. Celebration, she realized with numb horror. They were celebrating the alliance. The door opened and Aunt Mary's gasp cut through the fog. "Izira! Oh gods, Izira!" Warm hands touched her shoulders, gentle and familiar, everything Rowan's touch hadn't been. Mary's scent wrapped around her, roses and safety and home, and something inside Izira finally broke. A sob tore from her throat, then another, her body shaking with the force of tears she'd been holding back. "I've got you," Mary whispered, gathering her niece into her arms. "I've got you, little warrior." "What did he do? What did they do?" "The wine," Izira managed between gasps. "He drugged the wine. I couldn't. I tried to stop him but I couldn't move, couldn't fight." Mary's fury blazed so hot Izira could feel it radiating from her skin, could smell the rage like scorched metal. "That bastard. That absolute bastard. And Garrett let him." She stood abruptly, still holding Izira. "We're leaving. Right now. I'm taking you away from here." "Where?" Izira clutched at her aunt's shirt. "Where can we go?" "He said the bond is sealed now." "He said." "I don't care what he said. There are packs that would take you in places where—" "Mary." Alpha Garrett's voice came from the doorway, cautious and edged with warning. "What's going on here?" "What's going on," Mary said, her voice deadly calm, "is that Alpha Rowan drugged your pack member and forced a bond without her conscious consent. What's going on is that you facilitated an assault." The silence that followed was suffocating. Izira could hear her Alpha's heartbeat, steady and unbothered by the accusation. When he spoke, his tone was measured, reasonable, the voice of authority explaining reality to those too naive to understand it. The mating was agreed upon by all parties. What happened between Alpha Rowan and Izira after that agreement is between mates. It's not the pack's concern. She was drugged, Mary spat. She couldn't consent to anything. She consented when she agreed to the meeting. When she accepted the arrangement. Alpha Garrett's footsteps entered the room. "Mary, I understand you're protective of Izira, but she's done her duty to the pack. The alliance is secured. And frankly, this is the most useful she's ever been." The words landed like blows. Izira felt Mary's arms tighten around her. "You're a coward," Mary said softly. "And a failure as an alpha. You sold a member of your pack to secure a treaty. I did what was necessary to prevent a war. Izira should be grateful she could finally contribute something of value." He paused and Izira could hear the dismissal in his tone. "Take her home. Alpha Rowan will come to claim her officially in 3 days, once the bond settles. Make sure she's ready." His footsteps retreated, the door closing behind him with quiet finality. Mary held Izira for a long moment, her heartbeat thundering against Izira's ear. "I won't let him take you," Mary whispered. "I'll find a way, I swear it." But they both knew she was powerless against an alpha's command. Against pack law and tradition and the weight of centuries of hierarchy that made Izira's autonomy meaningless compared to political convenience. The next 3 days passed in a blur of numbness. Izira stayed in her room, refusing to see her family, speaking only to Aunt Mary who brought her food she couldn't eat and sat with her in silence that said more than words ever could. Her mother came to her door once, voice bright with false cheer about how lucky Izira was, how this was the best thing that could have happened to her. Izira didn't respond, just curled tighter into herself until Patricia gave up and left. When Rowan came to claim her on the 3rd day, Izira went with him silently, mechanically, her mind locked away somewhere safe where his touch couldn't reach her. He took her to the Nightshade territory, to a stone manor house that smelled of old wood and colder intentions. She was given a room, luxurious by her family's standards but a gilded cage nonetheless. 3 months later, Izira had learned to navigate her prison with the same efficiency she'd once navigated her family home. The Nightshade Manor had its own rhythms, its own scent markers and sound patterns. She knew where Rowan would be at any given hour, and she arranged her life to avoid him as much as possible. He seemed content with the arrangement, visiting her room only when the bond demanded it, treating her with the same disinterested attention one might give a piece of furniture. She'd stopped hoping for rescue. Stopped hoping for anything really. Aunt Mary had tried to visit twice, but Rowan had turned her away both times, claiming pack business required privacy. Her family hadn't tried at all, which hurt less than it should have. On a morning that felt no different from any other, Izira woke to a scent that made her freeze. It was subtle, barely there, but her gift caught it immediately. A shift in her own body chemistry, something new and undeniably present. Her hand moved to her abdomen, and her wolf confirmed what her senses were telling her. She was pregnant. The knowledge settled over her like a shroud. 3 months she'd been here, 3 months of barely surviving each day, and now this. A life growing inside her, innocent and unaware of the circumstances of its creation. Her breath came in short gasps as the reality crashed over her. This child was Rowan's. This child bound her to him more permanently than any forced bond ever could. And yet, her hand pressed more firmly against her stomach. This child was also hers. Part of her. Innocent of its father's crimes. For the first time in 3 months, Izira felt something other than numbness. A fierce, protective instinct blazed to life inside her chest. This child deserved better than to be raised by a monster who drugged and violated its mother. This child deserved safety, love, freedom. Everything Izira didn't have but could fight to give. He would tell Rowan. He would have to. But not yet. Not until she'd had time to think, to plan, to figure out what this meant for her future and the future of the life growing inside her. Izira's fingers found the flute Aunt Mary had given her, still carefully wrapped in cloth in her belongings. She hadn't touched it since that terrible night, but now she pulled it out, running her fingers over the smooth wood. A reminder of who she'd been before all this. A reminder that she was more than what had been done to her. And now she had someone to protect. Someone who needed her to be strong. Chapter 5. Izira waited until evening to tell him. Rowan typically returned to the manor at sunset, his footsteps heavy on the stone floors as he made his way through the halls that had become her prison. She positioned herself in the sitting room he frequented, her hands folded in her lap, the knowledge of her pregnancy sitting in her chest like a stone. His scent reached her first, earth and smoke and that wild, dangerous edge that still made her skin crawl after 3 months. His footsteps paused when he entered the room and found her there. "Izira," he said, surprise evident in his tone. She rarely sought him out, had learned to make herself scarce whenever possible. "Is something wrong? I need to tell you something." Her voice was steadier than she felt. "I'm pregnant. I'm carrying your child." The silence that followed was deafening. She could hear his heartbeat accelerate, could smell the shift in his scent. But not joy, not excitement. Suspicion, acrid and bitter. "Is it mine?" The words were cold, sharp as a blade. Izira's heart stopped, then kicked into overdrive. "What?" I said, "Is it mine?" His footsteps moved closer, circling her like he had that first terrible night. "You're blind, helpless, utterly dependent. How do I know you haven't been with other males during these 3 months? How do I know this child is actually my bloodline?" The accusation hit her like a physical blow. After everything he'd done, the drugs, the force, the violation she was still trying to process, he dared to question her? "You know exactly how this happened," Izira said, her voice shaking with rage. "You were there. You drugged me." "I gave you wine to help you relax," Rowan interrupted smoothly. "You were nervous about our mating, understandably so. But now, 3 months later, you show up pregnant, claiming it's mine, and expect me to simply accept the word of a blind Omega who can't even see who she's spreading her legs for." Her hands clenched into fists. "I've been locked in this manor for 3 months. I haven't seen anyone but your servants." "Servants who are all male," Rowan cut in. "Guards, stable hands, household staff. Any one of them could have taken advantage of a helpless blind girl. You wouldn't even know which one." The cruelty of it stole her breath. "You're lying. You know this child is yours." "What I know," Rowan said, his voice dropping to something dangerous, "is that I was promised a mate from a respectable pack. Instead, I got a defective female who now conveniently claims to be carrying my heir. What kind of fool do you take me for?" "The child is yours," Izira insisted, standing on trembling legs. "You know it is. What you did to me." "What I did," Rowan said slowly, "was agree to mate with you despite your obvious flaws. And this is how you repay that generosity. By trying to trap me with some bastard you're probably carrying from one of my own pack members." Tears of rage burned her sightless eyes. "I haven't been with anyone but you. You forced yourself on me." You're hysterical, he said dismissively. This is exactly the kind of instability I was warned about. Blind, weak, and now delusional. I won't be tied to you through a child that isn't mine. Then reject me. The words came out before she could stop them, born of rage and desperation and the desperate hope that being free of him, even rejected and disgraced, might be better than this nightmare. If you truly believe the child isn't yours, reject the bond. But you and I both know the truth. She heard his sharp intake of breath, could smell the calculation in his scent as he considered her challenge. The bond between them was weak, barely there after 3 months of mutual avoidance, but it existed. A rejection would hurt, would be a public humiliation, but it would also free her. Very well, Rowan said, and something in his tone made her wolf howl a warning. I, Alpha Rowan of the Nightshade Pack, reject Izira of Moonshade as my mate and deny any claim to the bastard she carries. The formal words detonated through Izira's chest like explosives. The bond, fragile and unwanted as it was, snapped with physical force, dropping her to her knees. Pain radiated through her body as her wolf screamed, the rejection echoing through every cell despite the fact that she'd never wanted him in the first place. However, Rowan continued, and Izira could hear the smile in his voice even through the pain, you'll remain here until I decide what to do with you. You're carrying a child, disputed or not, and I won't have it said that I turned a pregnant female out without provision. Izira gasped for air, her hands pressed against the cold floor, trying to process his words through the agony of the broken bond. I've heard rumors, Rowan said thoughtfully, pacing around her collapsed form, of a dragon shifter in the western mountains. Drake they call him. Powerful, wealthy, and always looking to expand his household staff. I'm sure he'd pay well for a wolf, even a defective one. Especially one already trained to be obedient. You want to sell me? Izira managed through gritted teeth. As a slave. You're pregnant with a disputed child, rejected by your mate and blind. What other value do you have? His practical tone made it worse somehow. He wasn't even angry, just stating what he saw as obvious facts. At least this way you'll serve a purpose. Drake is known to be fair with his servants. He'll probably let you keep the bastard, raise it in his household. Rowan, please. The alternative is to send you back to Moonshade in disgrace, where your family will likely cast you out for failing to secure the alliance. His footsteps moved toward the door. I'll give you a few days to recover from the rejection. Then we'll make the arrangements. Consider it mercy, you'll have a home, food, shelter. More than you deserve, really, after trying to trap me with another male's spawn. The door closed behind him with finality. Izira remained on the floor, her body racked with the pain of rejection and the crushing weight of her new reality. She'd been violated, rejected, and now was about to be sold like property. All while carrying a child she hadn't chosen but would die to protect. Her hand moved to her abdomen, pressing against the barely there swell. I'm sorry, she whispered to the life growing inside her. I'm so sorry. Chapter 6. Rowan left her alone for 2 days after the rejection, the broken bond leaving her body aching and her wolf whimpering in confusion. Izira stayed in her room at the Nightshade Manor, hands pressed against her barely swollen stomach, listening to servants whisper in the hallways about the rejected mate and the bastard child she carried. She tried to reach Aunt Mary through one of the kinder servants, a young female wolf who'd shown her sympathy. But the girl had returned with frightened eyes and a message. Alpha Rowan had sent word to Moonshade that Izira was not to have contact with anyone from her former pack. Aunt Mary had tried to come anyway and been turned away at the border by Nightshade guards. The servants said Mary had been screaming threats, demanding to see her niece, before being escorted back to Moonshade territory under threat of violence. Izira had never felt more alone. On the morning of the 3rd day, Rowan's footsteps approached her door. She recognized his gait now, the confident stride of a man who'd never been told no in his life. The arrangements are made, he announced without preamble. The dragon shifter Drake has agreed to purchase you. He'll pay well for a wolf servant, even one in your condition. He's sending a representative to collect you tomorrow at dawn. Tomorrow? Izira's voice cracked. She'd known this was coming, but the reality of it still stole her breath. Be grateful I'm giving you a night to prepare, Rowan said coldly. I could have had you gone today. Drake is known to treat his household staff fairly. You'll have shelter, food, purpose. More than you'd have if I sent you back to Moonshade in disgrace. I'm pregnant, Izira whispered, though she knew it was pointless. I'm carrying a child. A bastard of unknown parentage, Rowan interrupted. We've been through this. Drake is aware of your condition. He doesn't care. Dragons are long-lived and patient. He'll wait for you to birth the whelp and recover before putting you to work. Consider it generous. The casual cruelty in his voice made her stomach turn. Can I at least say goodbye to Aunt Mary? Your aunt is no longer your concern. You belong to Drake now, or will as soon as the gold changes hands. His footsteps retreated toward the door. A servant will bring you a meal tonight and help you pack. Don't cause trouble, Izira. It will only make things worse. The door closed, leaving her in silence broken only by her own ragged breathing. That evening, the kind servant girl returned with food Izira couldn't eat and helped her pack a small bag. Izira's fingers found her flute among her belongings. The gift from Aunt Mary that felt like it belonged to a different life. A different girl who'd still had hope. May I have paper and ink? Izira asked the servant quietly. Please. I know I can't see to write properly, but I need to try. The girl hesitated, then whispered, I'll bring some. But you must be quick. Valfor Rowan finds out I helped you. Minutes later, Izira sat at the small desk in her room, her fingers guiding the pen across paper she couldn't see. Her writing would be crooked, uneven, possibly illegible, but she needed to leave a record. Needed someone to know. Her hand moved slowly, carefully, forming words she could only hope were readable. They're selling me tomorrow. To a dragon named Drake. I'm 3 months pregnant with a child no one wants, rejected by a mate who violated me and now being sold like property. Aunt Mary says I'm not disposable, but I don't know how to believe that when everyone else treats me like I am. If I don't survive this, if something happens to me or the baby, I want there to be a record. I want someone to know that I didn't choose any of this, that I tried to be strong, that I wanted to matter. I'm terrified of meeting this dragon, of what he'll do when he realizes what he's purchased. A broken wolf carrying another man's rejected child. But maybe if I'm lucky he'll be indifferent. Maybe he'll ignore me and I can raise this baby in peace, forgotten in some corner of his household. I don't have hope anymore. But I have this child and I have to protect them. That's enough. Has to be enough. She folded the paper carefully and tucked it into her bag along with the flute. Then she lay down on the bed that had been her prison for 3 months and waited for dawn. Sleep came in fragments, nightmares of chains and dragon fire and her child crying for a mother who couldn't protect them. When she felt the air shift with approaching sunrise, the temperature change, the distant sounds of servants beginning their morning routines, heavy footsteps approached her door. 2 male wolves she didn't recognize entered her room. Their scents were unfamiliar, mercenary, wolves hired specifically for this task because they had no connection to her, no reason to show mercy. Time to go, one of them said gruffly. The dragon's representative is waiting. Izira stood on shaking legs, her bag clutched in one hand, the flute wrapped carefully inside. Can I? No delays, the second wolf interrupted. Alpha's orders. You come now, quiet and cooperative, or we carry you. Your choice. There was no choice. There hadn't been any choice since the moment Rowan had drugged her wine and stolen her future. They led her through the manor she'd learned to navigate over 3 months, downstairs she'd counted in her mind, past servants who turned away rather than watch her leave. Alpha Rowan was somewhere in the building, she could smell his scent, pine and smoke, but he didn't emerge to witness her departure. Outside, a carriage waited, pulled by horses whose nervous stamping she could hear clearly. The air smelled of coming rain and fear, her own fear she realized, sharp and metallic on her tongue. In you go, the first wolf said, not unkindly, helping her into the carriage. She felt a wooden seat beneath her, heard the creak of old leather and wood. Her fingers gripped her bag tighter, the flute inside pressing against her palm through the fabric. One hand moved to her stomach, to the barely there swell of the child growing inside her. I'll keep you safe, she whispered to the life she carried. I promise. Whatever it takes. The carriage door closed. The driver called to the horses. And Izira left the nightshade territory behind, bound for a dragon's household and an uncertain future, carrying nothing but a flute, a desperate letter, and the child no one wanted but her. Chapter 7. The carriage door closed with a heavy thud that felt like a coffin ceiling. Izira settled onto the leather bench, her bag beside her, and felt the vehicle lurch into motion. Through the small window she could smell nightshade territory fading behind her, stone and unfamiliar earth and a place that had been her prison for 3 months. The representative sitting across from her remained silent for the first hour of travel. His scent was unusual, smoke and stone and something ancient that made her wolf uneasy. Not quite wolf, not quite human. Something other. "You're pregnant," he said finally, his voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the carriage floor. Izira's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. "Yes." "Does Drake know?" "I don't know what he was told." She lifted her chin despite her fear. "Does it matter?" "It might," the representative said carefully. "Dragon shifters have particular views about young. He may not want you once he knows." Hope flared painfully in her chest. "Would he send me back?" "No." The word crushed that hope immediately. "He'd likely sell you to someone else. Dragons don't return purchased goods. It's beneath their pride. But where you end up after that?" He trailed off meaningfully. Izira swallowed hard. At least with Drake she knew vaguely what to expect. Household service, hard work, but presumably safety for her and her child. Being sold again, passed from owner to owner like unwanted cargo, could lead anywhere. To anyone. "Then I hope he doesn't mind," she said quietly. The representative made a thoughtful sound. "You're not what I expected. Your alpha said you were defective, useless. But you smell like fear and determination in equal measure. That's not useless. That's survival. What's your name?" Izira asked, latching onto this small kindness like a lifeline. "Corvus. I handle acquisitions for Drake's household." He shifted on his seat. "I've transported many purchases over the years. Most cry, beg, or rage the entire journey. You've done none of those things. Would it change anything if I did? No. Then why waste the energy?" Izira's fingers found her flute in the bag, tracing its familiar smooth wood. "Can you tell me about him?" "Drake." Corvus was quiet for a long moment. "He's powerful. Fair by dragon standards, which means he has rules and he expects them followed. Break the rules, face consequences. Follow them and you'll be treated adequately." "Adequately sounds like paradise compared to where I've been," Izira said bitterly. "Your pack treated you poorly?" "My pack sold me." The words came out sharper than intended. "My family facilitated my assault, blamed me when the bond failed, and my mate traded me for gold. So yes, Corvus, they treated me poorly." His silence felt different now, thoughtful rather than indifferent. When he spoke again, his voice had softened marginally. "For what it's worth, Drake doesn't tolerate violence against those under his protection. Whatever happened to you before won't happen in his household. And if I don't meet his standards? If I can't perform the work he needs because I'm blind? Then you'll face consequences," Corvus said honestly. "But Drake has never killed a servant for incompetence. Punishment, yes. Dismissal sometimes. Death, no. Dragons have codes, strange as they are." It wasn't much comfort, but it was something. Izira settled back against the seat, exhaustion washing over her. The baby, barely more than a cluster of cells but already changing everything, seemed to pulse with its own small heartbeat beneath her hand. "Sleep if you can," Corvus advised. "We have another day of travel ahead and you'll want your strength when we arrive." The journey blurred together. Stops at way stations where Corvus bought food and let her use facilities, endless hours of rattling carriage motion, the gradual change in air and scent as they climbed higher into mountain territory. The temperature dropped steadily, and Izira wrapped herself in a blanket Corvus provided without comment. On the second evening, as the carriage began a steep ascent, Corvus spoke again. "We're approaching Drake's fortress. I need to prepare you for what to expect." Izira straightened, her heart hammering. "You'll be brought before Drake immediately. He inspects all acquisitions personally. He'll ask questions, answer honestly. Dragons can smell lies and it angers them. Be respectful but not servile. Drake respects strength, even in those he owns." "What kind of questions?" "Your skills, your limitations, your circumstances. He'll want to know why you were sold." Corvus paused. "Tell him the truth about the pregnancy. He'll discover it soon enough anyway, and deception will make things worse. And if he rejects me? Then I'll transport you to the auction houses in the southern territories, where you'll be sold again. Likely for far less gold and to a far less particular master." The carriage jerked to a halt, and Izira heard massive gates grinding open with the groan of ancient metal. The temperature shifted again, warmer suddenly as if they'd passed into a space heated by something other than sunlight. "We're here," Corvus said, and his tone had changed, become formal. "Remember what I told you. Honesty, respect, strength." The carriage door opened and Corvus's hands, surprisingly gentle, helped her out onto stone that radiated heat through her thin shoes. The air smelled of sulfur and precious metals and power so thick it made her skin prickle. "This way," Corvus guided her forward, his grip firm on her elbow. Their footsteps echoed through what must be an enormous space, the acoustics suggesting soaring ceilings and vast emptiness. Then she felt it. A presence so massive, so weighted with ancient authority, that her wolf instinctively tried to submit. Heat washed over her in waves, and she knew without seeing that she stood before the dragon himself. "So," a voice like distant thunder rumbled through the darkness she lived in, "this is what Moonshade considers valuable enough to sell." Chapter 8. Drake's voice reverberated through Izira's chest, each word carrying the weight of centuries. She fought the instinct to drop to her knees, to bare her throat in submission the way her wolf demanded. Instead she stood straight, chin lifted, hands clasped in front of her. "Tell me your name," Drake commanded, and she felt him circling her, his footsteps silent despite his size. The heat of him moved through the space like a living thing. "Izira." Her voice came out steadier than she'd expected. "Formerly of the Moonshade Pack." "Formerly." He drew the word out, tasting it. "And why are you formerly of Moonshade, Izira?" Here it was, the moment of truth. Corvus's warning echoed in her mind. "Honesty. I was mated to Alpha Rowan of Nightshade as part of an alliance. When I told him I was pregnant, he rejected me and sold me to you. I'm blind, carrying a child he denied, and he decided I was more valuable as currency than as his responsibility." The circling stopped. She could feel Drake directly in front of her now, close enough that his breath stirred her hair. "Blind," he repeated, and she couldn't read his tone. "You cannot see at all?" "Not since birth." Izira's fingers tightened against each other. "But I navigate the world through scent, sound, and touch. I'm not helpless." "Aren't you?" The challenge in his voice was unmistakable. "You're blind, pregnant, rejected, and sold. Standing in a dragon's fortress, owned by someone you've never seen. Tell me, little wolf, how are you not helpless?" Anger flared hot and sudden in her chest, burning through the fear. "Because I'm still standing," she said sharply. "Because I survived my family's neglect, survived being drugged and assaulted, survived rejection and betrayal. Because I'm going to protect this child no matter what it costs me. That's not helpless, dragon. That's the only strength I have left." The silence that followed was absolute. Izira's heart hammered against her ribs, fear warring with the reckless defiance that had made her speak so boldly to someone who literally owned her. Then Drake laughed. A sound like rocks grinding together, unexpected and somehow less threatening than his previous tone. "Well, you have fire at least. That's more than most wolves I've encountered." His footsteps moved away, pacing. "Corvus, did Alpha Rowan mention the pregnancy?" "No, my lord." Corvus's voice came from somewhere behind Izira. "He listed her as blind and rejected. Nothing about a child." "Of course not. Honesty isn't that bastard's strongest quality." Drake's disgust was palpable. "How far along?" 3 months, Izira answered before Corvus could. "I'll work until I can't anymore. I won't be a burden." "You're already a burden," Drake said bluntly. "You're pregnant, which means you'll need special considerations. You're blind, which limits the work you can perform. And you're carrying emotional trauma that will likely make you unreliable." He paused. "I should send you back and demand a refund." Terror spiked through Izira's chest. "Please." "But I won't," Drake continued, his voice thoughtful now. "Do you know why?" She shook her head mutely. "Because your former mate's eyes lit up with greed when he quoted me the price. Because Corvus reported that no one even tried to stop your sale. Because every instinct I have tells me that Rowan deserves to lose you." His footsteps approached again. "And because you stood before a dragon and called yourself strong. That takes either courage or stupidity, and I'm curious to discover which." Izira's throat felt tight. "What happens now?" "Now I decide what to do with you." Drake's hand caught her chin suddenly, Not roughly but firmly enough to tilt her face upward. His skin was fever-hot against hers and she caught the scent of him fully for the first time. Smoke and ancient stone and something wild and clean like mountain air after a storm. You say you navigate by scent and sound. What do you smell right now, little wolf? The question surprised her. Izira inhaled carefully, letting her gift work. Sulfur and gold and old magic. Power that tastes like heat lightning. And... She hesitated. And... Drake prompted. Curiosity, she said softly. You're intrigued by me. I don't know why, but your scent shifted when I answered back. You weren't expecting defiance. His hand released her chin. Most purchases grovel and plead. You bare your teeth. He moved away again and she heard the sound of him settling into what must be an enormous chair. Here are my terms, Izira of Nowhere. You will work in my household doing tasks suited to your abilities. You will be given quarters, food and medical care for yourself and your child. You will obey the rules of this fortress without question. Relief flooded through her, so intense she swayed slightly. Thank you. I'm not finished. His voice sharpened. You will also prove your worth. I don't keep useless things and I won't coddle you because of your condition. If you cannot perform adequately, I will sell you elsewhere. Do you understand? Yes. Izira straightened her shoulders. What would you have me do? That remains to be seen. For now, Corvus will show you to your quarters. You'll rest tonight, eat a proper meal, and tomorrow we'll assess what skills you actually possess. A pause then, one more thing. What happened to you before? The assault, the rejection, that's done. In my household you answer only to me. No one touches what belongs to me without permission. That includes you. Are we clear? The words should have sounded possessive, threatening. That they felt like protection? Izira wasn't sure what to make of it. Yes, my lord. Just Drake. I don't need false titles from those I own. His tone shifted, became dismissive. Corvus, take her. Make sure she eats. She's too thin. Yes, my lord. Corvus's hand found Izira's elbow, guiding her toward what she assumed was an exit. Chapter 9. The quarters Corvus led her to were nothing like Izira had expected. She'd imagined a servant's cell, small, sparse, cold. Instead, her hands explored a room that felt spacious, with thick rugs beneath her feet and furniture that radiated quality even to her touch. A bed large enough for two people dominated one wall, covered in blankets so soft they felt like clouds against her fingers. There's a bathing room through that door, Corvus explained, guiding her hand to touch the doorframe so she could memorize its location. Hot water runs from the left tap, cold from the right. The fortress is built over thermal vents. You'll never lack for warmth or hot water. This is too much, Izira whispered, overwhelmed. I'm just a servant. Surely there are simpler quarters. Drake doesn't do simple, Corvus said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. He has standards for everything, including how he houses those under his protection. This is actually one of the smaller guest rooms. Guest rooms. Not servant quarters. The distinction made her head spin. I'll have food sent up, Corvus continued. Is there anything you cannot eat? Allergies, aversions? No, Izira's stomach chose that moment to growl audibly, reminding her she'd barely eaten in days. Thank you. For everything. For being kind. Don't mistake efficiency for kindness, Corvus said, but his tone was gentle. I serve Drake's interests. Right now his interest is keeping you healthy enough to work. But you're welcome. His footsteps moved toward the door. Rest. Tomorrow begins early in dragon households. The door closed and Izira was alone in luxury she'd never experienced even in her family's home. She explored methodically, mapping the room through touch and scent. The bathing room had a tub large enough to swim in, with soaps that smelled of herbs she couldn't name. The wardrobe held several dresses in her size. How had they known? Made of fabric far finer than anything she'd owned. A knock at the door interrupted her exploration. Food, a female voice called. Come in, Izira called back, turning toward the sound. The woman who entered smelled of bread and rosemary, her footsteps light and quick. I'm Sable, she said, setting something heavy on what Izira assumed was a table. Head of household staff. Corvus said you needed feeding. Thank you. Izira moved toward the table carefully, her hands finding the back of a chair. You're blind, Sable said, not unkindly, just stating fact. Can you feed yourself or do you need help? I can manage. Izira sat, her fingers exploring the table's contents. Plate still warm. Utensils laid out neatly. A cup of something that smelled like herbal tea. This smells incredible. Roasted chicken, root vegetables, fresh bread. Nothing fancy, but it'll fill you up. Sable's skirts rustled as she moved around the room, tidying things Izira couldn't see. So you're the wolf Drake bought from Nightshade. The whole fortress is buzzing about it. Izira's hand paused halfway to her mouth, a piece of chicken speared on her fork. Buzzing. Drake hasn't purchased a wolf in 15 years. Last one was a warrior he hired as security. That worked out well enough. But a pregnant blind girl. Sable's tone wasn't cruel, just curious. People are wondering what he's thinking. So am I, Izira admitted, taking a bite. The food was better than incredible. It was perfect, seasoned just right, cooked with care. She'd forgotten food could taste like this. Drake's got his reasons for everything, even if us mere mortals can't always figure them out. Sable laughed. Been working here 20 years and I've learned not to question the dragon's decisions. Usually works out in ways you don't expect. You're not afraid of him? Izira asked between bites, her hunger making conversation secondary to eating. Afraid? Sure, when I need to be. Drake's powerful and dangerous and old as mountains. But he's also fair, pays well, and doesn't tolerate abuse of his staff. Sable's voice warmed. Could do worse than serving a dragon girl. A lot worse. Izira thought of her family, of Rowan and what he'd done to her. I already have. Yeah, Corvus mentioned you came from a bad situation. Sable's hand touched Izira's shoulder briefly. Another kindness she hadn't expected. Well, you're here now. Rules are strict but clear. Work hard, don't steal, don't lie to Drake, and you'll be fine. What happens if someone breaks the rules? Depends on the offense. Stealing gets you dismissed with no references. Lying to Drake directly? Sable's voice turned grim. I've seen him reduce grown warriors to tears with just his voice. Dragons don't forgive deception. Izira remembered her encounter earlier, how Drake's presence had pressed against her like physical weight. He asked about my pregnancy. About why I was sold. And you told him the truth? Yes. Good. That's why you're eating hot food in a comfortable room instead of locked in the dungeon or sold off already. Sable gathered what sounded like empty plates. When had Izira eaten everything? Now you need rest. Tomorrow Drake will test you, figure out what work you can do. Get some sleep. After Sable left, Izira prepared for bed with trembling hands. The bathtub called to her, and she indulged in a hot bath that soothed muscles she hadn't realized were tense. The soap smelled of lavender, reminding her painfully of Aunt Mary. Mary. Was her aunt still confined? Was she worried? Did she know where Izira had been taken? Izira climbed into the impossibly soft bed, her hand resting on her stomach where the baby grew. It's just us now, she whispered to the small life inside her. But we're alive and we're safe, and that's more than we had yesterday. Sleep came surprisingly easily, exhaustion finally claiming her. She dreamed of dragons and fire and a voice like thunder asking her what she smelled, and for once the dreams weren't nightmares. Morning arrived with a knock on her door. Sharp, authoritative, exactly at dawn if the change in air temperature was any indication. Time to work, Corvus's voice called. Drake wants you in the library in 1 hour. Sable will bring breakfast and help you dress. Chapter 10. The library was the most overwhelming space Izira had ever encountered. The moment she crossed the threshold, her senses were assaulted by the scent of thousands of books. Old leather, aged paper, ink and dust and knowledge accumulated over centuries. The acoustics told her the room was massive, her footsteps echoing up into what must be vaulted ceilings. Impressive, isn't it? Drake's voice came from somewhere deep in the space, surrounded by the rustle of pages. Even for someone who can't see it. Izira moved forward carefully, one hand trailing along what felt like an endless shelf of books. I can smell the age of them. Some of these must be ancient. The oldest is 3,000 years. His footsteps approached, heavy and deliberate. I've been collecting since before your pack's territory was even settled. Knowledge is the truest form of wealth, little wolf. Gold can be stolen, land can be lost, but what you know, what you truly understand, that can never be taken. She heard him stop a few feet away, could feel the heat radiating from him like standing near a forge. "Why am I here?" she asked. "I can't read. Not like this." "Can't you?" Something was pressed into her hands. A book, but the pages felt strange under her fingers. Raised dots and lines formed patterns across the surface. "This is a system called Braille. Have you encountered it before?" Izira's fingers traced the patterns carefully. They meant nothing to her, just random bumps. "No. We didn't have anything like this in Moonshade." "Of course not. Your pack wouldn't invest in tools for someone they considered defective." The bitterness in Drake's voice surprised her. "I, however, have an entire section of my library transcribed into Braille. Thousands of volumes. And no one to read them." Understanding dawned slowly. "You want me to learn this? To read these books? I want you to catalog them, organize them, maintain them. My collection has grown unwieldy, and I need someone who can navigate it without sight. Someone who won't be distracted by the visual beauty of rare manuscripts and will focus on content, condition, and proper preservation." He paused. "Corvus tells me you have an exceptional memory and attention to detail. Is that true? I have to remember things. I can't just look at them again later." Izira ran her fingers over the raised dots once more. "But learning an entire new system. You'll have time. The baby won't arrive for 6 months. That's enough time to learn Braille basics and begin cataloging the simpler texts." Drake moved away and she heard him pull out a chair. "Sit. We'll start your first lesson now." "Now." Izira's stomach fluttered with nerves. "But do you want to prove your worth or not?" The challenge in his voice was clear. "You stood before me yesterday and claimed you weren't helpless. Show me." Pride stung by his tone, Izira felt her way to the chair and sat, squaring her shoulders. "Fine. Teach me." The next 3 hours were the most mentally exhausting of Izira's life. Drake proved to be an exacting teacher, patient with genuine mistakes but intolerant of lazy thinking. He guided her fingers over the Braille letters, making her trace them repeatedly until she could identify basic characters by touch alone. "The letter is a single dot in the upper left," he explained, his large hand covering hers, positioning her fingers correctly. His touch was surprisingly gentle for someone so powerful, his skin still radiating that constant fever warmth. "B is 2 dots vertically. C is 2 dots horizontally. Feel the difference." Izira focused intently, her gift helping her memorize the subtle distinctions. "Yes. A is alone, B is tall, C is wide." "Good. That's a memory technique. Use whatever helps you learn faster." He released her hand, placing a different book in front of her. "Now identify the first 3 letters of this line." Her fingers traced carefully. "A, C, B." "Correct." She could hear the approval in his voice, slight but present. Again. "Next line." They worked until Izira's fingers ached and her head throbbed with new information. Finally, Drake called a halt. "Enough for today. You've learned the first 10 letters. That's more than I expected in a single session." "My head feels like it's going to explode," Izira admitted, rubbing her temples. "Learning always hurts at first. Your brain is forming new pathways, new connections." She heard him stand, stretch, the sound of ancient joints popping. "Come. I want to show you something." He guided her through the library, his hand firm on her elbow, until they emerged into another space. The air here felt different, cooler, fresher, with the scent of growing things. "Where are we?" Izira asked, breathing deeply. Flowers, dozens of varieties, some she recognized and many she didn't. "My garden. Specifically, the night flower section." Drake led her forward until her hands touched what felt like a stone bench. "Sit." Izira sat, and he placed her hand against something soft and delicate, flower petals that released their scent at her touch. "It's beautiful," she whispered, though she couldn't see the colors, couldn't appreciate the visual display. "These flowers only bloom in darkness," Drake said quietly, settling beside her on the bench. His weight made the stone creak. "They're more fragrant at night than any day blooming plant. Their beauty is hidden from those who rely only on sight." The metaphor wasn't subtle, but it landed in Izira's chest with unexpected force. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just a purchase servant. You could have put me to work scrubbing floors. I still might if you prove inadequate at cataloging." but his tone held no real threat. You asked what you smelled when we first met. What do you smell now, little wolf? Izira inhaled carefully, letting her gift work. The night flowers, yes, but underneath, Drake's scent, complex and layered. Curiosity still. But also, loneliness? No, that's not quite right. Isolation. Chosen isolation, but isolation nonetheless. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken understanding. 3,000 years of life, Drake said finally, and you're the first person to identify that in 5 minutes of acquaintance. Maybe your former pack was right to fear your gift, little wolf. You see too clearly for comfort. Chapter 11. I don't see it all, Izira reminded him, a small smile tugging at her lips despite everything. That's rather the point. Drake's laugh rumbled through the garden like distant thunder. Semantics. You perceive more than most who have full sight. His hand touched one of the night flowers, and Izira heard the delicate rustle of petals. I built this garden 200 years ago, after I realized that some beauty cannot be appreciated by dragons. We see in spectrums humans can't perceive, but we often miss what's directly before us because we're looking for the wrong things. Is that why you bought me? Izira asked boldly. Because I see differently? I bought you because your Rowan's greed offended me, and because you stood before a dragon and refused to grovel. He stood, and Izira felt his shadow fall over her like a physical weight. What I do with you now that you're here, that's still being determined. But know this, Izira of Nowhere. I didn't buy you to break you further. You're already fractured enough. The words, oddly gentle coming from such a fearsome creature, made Izira's throat tight. What if I can't do what you need? What if I fail? Then you fail and we find something else for you to try. His hand touched her shoulder briefly, that fever warmth seeping through her dress. I've lived 3 millennia, little wolf. I've learned that potential is often buried under trauma and circumstance. You've had neither chance nor support to discover what you're truly capable of. Consider this your opportunity. Before Izira could respond, his hand withdrew, and she heard him moving toward what must be an exit. Rest this afternoon. Your fingers need recovery time, and pregnancy makes fatigue worse. Tomorrow we'll continue your lessons. Drake. Izira called, stopping him. Thank you. For the garden. For teaching me. For seeing something in me worth the effort. Don't thank me yet, he said, his voice carrying back through the space. I haven't decided if you're worth the gold I paid. Prove it to me, little wolf. Prove you're more than what they said you were. The challenge in his words ignited something in Izira's chest. Determination, fierce and bright. He would prove it. Not for Drake, not even for her unborn child, but for herself. For the girl who'd spent 23 years being told she was less than broken, disposable. He was done believing them. The weeks that followed fell into a rhythm that surprised Izira with its normalcy. Every morning she woke in her comfortable quarters, ate breakfast that Sable brought with increasingly friendly conversation, and spent 3 hours in the library with Drake, learning Braille until the letters became second nature. Her fingers grew calloused from the constant reading, but her mind expanded in ways she'd never imagined possible. You're progressing faster than expected, Drake commented one morning, 6 weeks into her residency. Izira's pregnancy was beginning to show now, a small but definite swell beneath her dresses. You've learned the entire alphabet, numbers and basic punctuation. Most students take 3 months to reach this level. Pride warmed Izira's chest. I told you I wasn't useless. You told me you weren't helpless. There's a difference. But she could hear the approval in his tone, the satisfaction of a teacher whose student exceeded expectations. Today we start on your first real assignment. This section, he guided her hands to a shelf, contains historical texts about pack dynamics and wolf shifter culture. They're in terrible disarray. I want them organized chronologically and by region. Izira's fingers explored the spines, feeling the variations in size, texture, and the Braille labels Drake had already attached. This will take weeks. Months probably. Which is perfect. You'll be occupied through your pregnancy, and the work isn't physically demanding. She heard him settle into his usual chair, the one he occupied while she worked, always present but not hovering. Begin. The work was painstaking but satisfying. Izira lost herself in the rhythm of it, pulling books, reading their titles and dates, organizing them into piles by century and location, Creating a system that made sense to her enhanced awareness of space and order. Drake remained nearby, ostensibly working on his own projects, but she could feel his attention on her, assessing, measuring. "Why do you stay?" she asked during one of their breaks, when Sable had brought tea and small cakes that Izira devoured with pregnancy-driven hunger. "While I work, I mean. You could leave me to it." "Could I?" Drake's cup clinked against its saucer. "What if you needed something? What if you had questions about the texts? You could assign someone else to supervise." "I don't trust anyone else with my library." He paused, then added with surprising honesty, "And your company is not unpleasant." Izira nearly choked on her tea. "My company? Is that so surprising? You don't chatter mindlessly like most servants. You ask intelligent questions. And you smell like..." He stopped abruptly. "I smell like what?" Izira prompted, intrigued by his sudden reticence. "Home," Drake said quietly, and the word hung between them like a confession. "You smell like pack and belonging even though you were cast out. It's comforting, familiar. I haven't been around wolves in many years." The admission felt significant, weighted with meaning Izira couldn't quite grasp. "You miss it? Having pack around?" "I miss many things that age has taken from me." His chair creaked as he stood. "But we're not here to discuss my regrets. Back to work, little wolf. These books won't organize themselves." Chapter 12. 3 months into her residence at Drake's fortress, Izira collapsed. She'd been reaching for a book on a higher shelf, stretching just slightly too far, when dizziness swept over her like a wave. The library tilted sideways, her grip on the ladder failing, and she was falling. Strong arms caught her before she hit the ground, impossibly fast, burning hot against her skin. Drake's scent enveloped her, smoke and stone and something wild with panic. "Izira." His voice, usually so controlled, cracked with fear. "Izira, look at me." "No, you can't. Breathe, just breathe." She gasped for air, her hands clutching at his shirt. The world spun sickeningly even in the darkness she always lived in. "The baby." "Corvus." Drake's bellow shook the library shelves. "Get the healer. Now." Izira felt herself being lifted, cradled against Drake's chest as he moved with preternatural speed through the fortress. His heart thundered against her ear, racing far faster than she'd ever heard it. Dragons weren't supposed to feel fear. They were apex predators, ancient and unshakable. But Drake was afraid. For her. "Stay with me," he commanded, his voice rough. "You don't have permission to fade, little wolf. Do you hear me? I forbid it." "So bossy," Izira mumbled, her consciousness wavering. "Even when I'm dying." "You're not dying. I won't allow it." His arms tightened around her. "You still have half the historical section to catalog. You can't leave work unfinished." Despite everything, she laughed weakly. "Slave driver." "Absolutely. Now stay awake." The healer, an elderly woman who smelled of herbs and antiseptic, examined Izira thoroughly while Drake paced nearby like a caged storm. Izira could hear his footsteps, relentless and agitated, feel the heat rolling off him in waves. "She's malnourished," the healer announced finally, her tone disapproving. "Has been for months, maybe years. The pregnancy is drawing on reserves she doesn't have. She needs rest, proper nutrition, and absolutely no stress." "She's been eating well here," Drake protested, stopping his pacing. "Sable ensures 3 meals daily. 3 months of good food can't undo years of neglect." The healer's hands touched Izira's face gently, checking her temperature. "Her body is trying to sustain both her and the child, but there's not enough to go around. If this continues, she'll lose the baby. Or herself. Possibly both." The words struck like hammer blows. Izira's hand moved instinctively to her stomach, where her small bump had finally become noticeable. "No. Please, I can't." "You won't." Drake's voice cut through her rising panic, absolute and commanding. "I'll ensure it. Whatever she needs." "Bed rest for the next week at minimum," the healer interrupted. "Rich foods, red meat, eggs, cheese, plenty of fluids. And she needs to stop working herself to exhaustion. Whatever tasks you've assigned her, they can wait." "But the library," Izira started. "Will still be there when you're healthy," Drake said firmly. "The books have waited centuries. They can wait a few more weeks." After the healer left, Drake remained. Izira could feel him standing beside her bed, could sense the tension radiating from him like heat from forge fire. "I should have noticed," he said finally, his voice low and rough with something that sounded like guilt. "I watched you work every day. I should have seen the signs." "I hid them well," Izira admitted. "I didn't want you to think I was weak. That I couldn't handle the work." "Weak?" He moved closer and she felt the bed dip as he sat on its edge. "Izira, you've been working pregnant while recovering from trauma and years of systematic neglect. And you've learned more in 3 months than most of my scholars learn in a year. That's not weakness. That's..." He stopped, seeming to struggle for words. "That's extraordinary." Tears burned behind Izira's sightless eyes. "Then why do I feel like I'm failing?" "Because they trained you to feel that way," Drake said, and his hand, careful, gentle, touched her cheek, catching a tear that had escaped. "Your family, your pack, that bastard alpha who violated you, they all convinced you that your value was contingent on being perfect despite impossible circumstances. But you're not failing, little wolf. You're surviving. And survival is its own victory." His touch lingered on her face, fever-warm and unexpectedly tender. Izira's breath caught, suddenly hyper-aware of his proximity, the way his scent wrapped around her like a blanket. "Drake," she whispered, "why do you care?" "I'm just..." "Don't." His thumb traced her cheekbone, silencing her. "Don't say you're just anything. You're Izira. You're brilliant and stubborn and brave enough to snap at a dragon when you thought I was being unfair. You're not just anything, and I won't hear you diminish yourself." Something shifted between them in that moment. The dynamic that had been master and servant, teacher and student, evolving into something neither of them had anticipated. Izira's hand rose, trembling, and found Drake's face. Her fingers traced features she'd never seen. A strong jaw, high cheekbones, the edge of a mouth that seemed shaped for both cruelty and kindness. "Let me see you," she breathed, and it wasn't about sight at all. It was about understanding, about knowing the creature who'd shown her more care in 3 months than her family had in 23 years. Drake held perfectly still as her fingers mapped his face. She felt scars, ancient ones, raised and rough, and the heat of his skin that never cooled. She traced the line of his brow, the bridge of his nose, the curve of his lips that parted slightly beneath her touch. "What do you see?" he asked, his voice barely above a rumble. "Strength," Izira answered. "Loneliness. And something else. Something I don't have words for yet." "Neither do I," Drake admitted, and his hand covered hers, pressing it against his cheek. "But it terrifies me." Chapter 13. That night Izira woke to screaming. Not her own. The sound came from down the hall, a roar of anguish so raw and primal it shook the fortress walls. She sat up in bed, heart hammering, her gift identifying the voice immediately. Drake. She shouldn't go to him. He was her master, a dragon ancient and powerful, and whatever tormented him wasn't her concern. But her feet were already moving, finding the floor, her hands trailing along the wall as she navigated the familiar path toward his chambers. The screaming had stopped, replaced by ragged breathing and the sound of something breaking. Glass, maybe, or stone. Drake. She knocked on his door, tentative. "Are you? Go away." His voice was hoarse, shattered. "Leave me alone, Izira." She should have obeyed. Instead she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The heat hit her immediately. The room was like standing inside a furnace, Drake's distress raising the temperature to nearly unbearable levels. "I said leave," he snarled, and she heard him retreat further into the room. "You don't want to see me like this. I can't see you at all, remember?" Izira moved forward carefully, her bare feet finding debris on the floor. Broken furniture, shattered glass. "But I can hear you in pain. What happened?" "Nightmares. Old memories." His breathing was still uneven, labored. "They come sometimes. It's nothing." "It's not nothing." Izira followed his voice until she was close enough to feel the waves of heat radiating from him. "Tell me. Please." "Why?" The word was sharp, defensive. "So you can pity me?" "I don't need your pity, little wolf." "I'm not offering pity," Izira said softly. "I'm offering to listen. You've listened to me about my family, about what happened with Rowan. Let me return the favor." Silence stretched between them, broken only by Drake's ragged breathing slowly evening out. Finally he spoke, his voice raw and ancient with old grief. I had a mate once, he said. 300 years ago. A dragon named Sarah, fierce and brilliant and everything I thought I'd never deserve. We'd been together for 2 centuries when the hunters came. Izira's breath caught. She'd heard stories of dragon hunters, humans who killed shifters for sport and profit. They had weapons, magic, numbers on their side. I was away, negotiating a territory dispute with another clan. When I returned, his voice broke and Izira heard him move, felt him sink onto what must be his bed. She'd fought. Gods, she'd fought so hard. But there were too many and she was alone and I wasn't there to protect her. Drake. Izira reached out, found his arm, gripped it. I found her in our garden. The same garden where I took you, where the night flowers grow. She'd planted those flowers, loved them because they reminded her that beauty exists even in darkness. His hand covered Izira's, gripping almost painfully tight. I buried her there. And I swore I'd never let myself care for anyone again, never let anyone get close enough to hurt me when they inevitably left. Understanding crashed over Izira like a wave. The isolation, the careful distance, the fortress built as much from emotional walls as from stone. All of it made terrible sense now. For 300 years I've kept that promise, Drake continued. I've hired staff, purchased servants, maintained my library and my fortress, but I've never let anyone matter. Never let anyone in. His grip on her hand tightened. Until a blind wolf arrived, pregnant and broken and so damned determined to prove her worth, and He stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. You what? Izira whispered, barely breathing. I started caring again, he admitted, and the confession sounded like it cost him everything. I started wanting to hear your voice in the library every morning. Started finding excuses to stay near you while you worked. Started lying awake at night wondering if you were comfortable, if you needed anything, if you thought about me the way I thought about you. Izira's heart thundered in her chest. How do you think about me? Like your sunlight after centuries of darkness, Drake said roughly. Like you're the first thing that's made me want to be alive instead of just existing. Like losing you would shatter what's left of me. His other hand found her face, cupping her cheek. And that terrifies me, Izira, because everyone I've ever loved has been taken from me. Everyone I've let matter has left me destroyed. Tears streamed down Izira's face. I'm not going anywhere, she said fiercely. I'm not Sarah. I'm not your past. I'm here now and I'm not leaving you. You don't know that. You could die in childbirth. You could decide you hate living in a fortress with a dragon. You could. Izira pressed her fingers against his lips, silencing him. I could also live. I could also stay. I could also fall in love with a dragon who showed me more kindness in 3 months than anyone showed me in 23 years. She let her hand slide from his mouth to his chest, feeling his heart race beneath her palm. I could also choose you, Drake. If you'd let me. The sound he made was half laugh, half sob. You're carrying another man's child. You're bound by a contract that makes you my property. How can you choose me when you have no freedom to choose? Then give me freedom, Izira challenged. Release me from the contract. And then ask me to stay. I can't. If I release you, you'd have nowhere to go. Ask me to stay, Izira insisted. Not as a servant. Not as property. As someone who wants to be here. Someone who, she swallowed hard, gathering courage. Someone who's falling in love with you. The admission hung between them like a living thing. Drake's hand trembled against her face. Izira, he breathed, and her name on his lips sounded like prayer and curse and promise all at once. Chapter 14. I love you, Izira said again, stronger this time, her hand still pressed against his racing heart. I don't know when it happened, maybe when you first taught me Braille, or when you brought me to the garden, or when you caught me when I fell. But I know it's real, and I know I've never felt this way about anyone. Drake's forehead pressed against hers, his breath hot against her lips. I've loved you since you stood before me and called yourself strong, he confessed. Since you refused to be diminished, refused to accept that you were less than. You walked into my fortress expecting cruelty and met it with defiance instead of submission. How could I not love you? Then ask me, Izira whispered. Please. She felt him move, heard the rustle of fabric as he shifted position. Then his hands took both of hers, holding them gently. Izira of nowhere, who deserves better than every name she's been given, Drake said, his voice formal and solemn. I release you from all contracts and obligations. You are free to leave this fortress to go wherever you choose to live however you wish. You owe me nothing." The words should have felt like liberation. Instead they felt like her heart being ripped from her chest. "And," she prompted, barely breathing. "And," Drake continued, his voice softening, becoming vulnerable in a way she'd never heard before. "I am begging you, me, an ancient dragon who has knelt before no one in 3,000 years, I am begging you to stay. Not as my servant or my property, but as my equal. As my partner. As the woman I love more than I thought possible." His hands tightened on hers, trembling slightly. "Stay with me, Isira. Choose me. Let me spend however many years we have proving that you made the right choice. Let me love you the way you've always deserved to be loved." "Yes," Isira said immediately, her own voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, of course, yes, you ridiculous dragon. Where else would I go? Where else would I be this happy? Where else would I find someone who sees me, truly sees me, and loves what they find?" Drake pulled her into his arms with a sound that was half laugh, half sob, crushing her against his chest like she was the most precious thing in existence. "I don't deserve you," he murmured against her hair, his voice thick with emotion. "Gods, I don't deserve you, but I'm selfish enough not to care. I'm keeping you, little wolf. You're mine now, and I'm never letting go." "Good," Isira said, her hands sliding up to frame his face, feeling the dampness of tears on his cheeks. This ancient, powerful dragon crying for her. "Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm yours, Drake. Completely yours." "Mine," he breathed, and the word sounded like a vow, a prayer, a promise. "My Isira. My love. My everything." His lips found hers then, and this kiss was different from before. Not gentle or careful, but desperate and claiming, pouring 300 years of loneliness and 3 months of falling in love into every movement. Isira kissed him back with equal fervor, her fingers tangling in his hair, tears streaming down both their faces as they held each other like the world might try to tear them apart. When they finally broke apart, both gasping for air, Drake kept her cradled against him, one hand protectively spanning her pregnant belly. "The baby," he said softly, reverently. "Our baby. Because that's what this child will be, Isira. I don't care whose blood runs through their veins, they're ours. Mine to protect, mine to love, mine to raise as my own." His hand pressed more firmly against her stomach. "I'll be the father this child deserves. I swear it on my life, on my hoard, on everything I am." Fresh tears spilled down Isira's cheeks, but these were tears of overwhelming joy. "How are you real?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "After everything I've been through, how did I get lucky enough to find you?" "I'm the lucky one," Drake replied fiercely, tilting her face up to kiss her forehead, her cheeks, her lips again. 3,000 years of existing, and I never knew I was only half alive until you walked into my fortress. You made me feel again, little wolf. You made me want to live instead of just survive. You saved me as much as I saved you." "I love you," Isira whispered against his lips. "I love you so much it terrifies me." "Don't be terrified," Drake murmured, pulling her closer. "I've got you. I'll always have you. Nothing in this world or any other will take you from me. I promise." "Promise me again," Isira said, needing to hear it, needing the reassurance of his voice wrapping around her like armor. "I promise," Drake said solemnly, his hand cupping her face. "You and this child are mine to protect now. Mine to cherish. And I will burn anyone who tries to hurt you. I will level kingdoms. I will go to war with the gods themselves if I have to. But I will keep you safe." For the first time in her life, Isira believed it. Believed she was worth protecting. Worth fighting for. Worth loving. "Now rest," Drake said softly, lifting her easily and carrying her to his bed. Their bed now, she realized with a flutter in her chest. "You need sleep, and I need to hold you and convince myself this isn't another dream that will vanish when I wake." "Not a dream," Isira promised, snuggling against his chest as he settled them both under the covers. "I'm real. This is real. And I'm not going anywhere." "Never," Drake agreed, wrapping his arms around her protectively, his heat enveloping her like the safest cocoon. "You're home now, little wolf. Finally home." Isira fell asleep to the sound of his heartbeat, steady and strong beneath her ear, feeling more loved and safe than she'd ever felt in her entire life. She woke to the sound of shouting. "I know she's here." Rowan's voice echoed through the fortress, sharp with desperation and fury. "I can smell her. Give her back to me." Izira sat up in Drake's bed, her heart hammering with sudden fear. Beside her, Drake was already on his feet, his heat flaring so intensely the air shimmered. "Stay here," he commanded, his voice allowing no argument. "Lock the door behind me. Don't come out until I return for you." "Drake." Izira reached for him, fear clawing at her throat. He was back at her side in an instant, his hands cupping her face, his lips pressing firmly against hers in a kiss that tasted of fierce protection and absolute promise. "I love you," he said against her mouth. "And I will handle this. Trust me, little wolf. Let me protect you." "I trust you," Izira whispered even as her hands clutched at his shirt, not wanting to let go. "Just come back to me. Always," Drake promised, kissing her once more before pulling away. "Lock the door." She heard him leave, heard the heavy door close. With trembling hands she found the lock and turned it, then pressed her back against the wood, her hand on her belly, and listened. Drake's footsteps descended to the main hall where Rowan's scent filled the space. Earth and smoke and the acrid tang of desperation. She could hear Corvus and several other guards, could sense the tension crackling through the air. "Where is she?" Rowan demanded. "Where is Izira?" "Somewhere you'll never reach her," Drake's voice rumbled with barely controlled fury. "You have no business here, Wolf. Leave my territory. Now. She's my mate." Rowan's voice cracked with desperation. "The mother of my child, the only child I'll ever have." Silence fell, heavy and tense. "Explain," Drake commanded, his voice sharp as a blade. "Silver poisoning," Rowan said, and Izira's enhanced hearing caught the break in his voice, the genuine anguish. 6 months ago I was ambushed by hunters using silver-tipped weapons. The wounds healed, but the damage was done. The healers confirmed it. I'm sterile. I will never father another child." His voice dropped to something raw, broken. "That baby Izira carries, it's the only heir I'll ever have. The only piece of me that will continue after I'm gone. I need her. I need them both." "You rejected them," Drake said coldly, unmoved. "You called the child a bastard. You sold Izira like property." "I was angry. I didn't know." Rowan's voice rose with frustrated desperation. "I didn't know I was destroying my only chance at a legacy. At a family. At anything that matters. But I know now, and I'm here to make it right. To take responsibility. To be the father that child deserves." "By claiming a woman you violated?" Drake's heat flared hotter. "By demanding custody of a child you publicly denied?" "The child is mine by blood," Rowan insisted, his voice hardening with determination. "Pack law is clear. Biological parents have rights that supersede all others. I can prove paternity. I have standing. And I've already filed a formal petition with the Interspecies Council." Izira's blood ran cold, her hand pressing harder against her belly. "They'll hear my case in 3 days," Rowan continued, triumph creeping into his voice now. "And when they grant me custody, because they will grant me custody of my own biological child, you'll have no choice but to surrender both mother and infant to me." He paused. "Unless Izira comes with me willingly right now. Returns to Nightshade as my mate, helps me raise our child, gives me the family I need. I'll treat her well this time. I'll cherish her. You'll do nothing," Drake roared, and Izira heard stone crack, felt the fortress itself shake with his rage. "She is mine. The child is mine. You gave up all rights when you rejected them, and I will see you dead before I let you take them from me." "Then you'll start a war," Rowan said quietly, dangerously. "The council won't ignore a dragon killing an alpha over a custody dispute. They'll send armies. They'll destroy you and everyone in this fortress." His voice turned pleading again. "It doesn't have to be this way, dragon. Let me see her. Let me talk to her. Maybe we can find a solution that doesn't end in blood." "The only solution," Drake said, each word dripping with lethal promise, "is you leaving my territory and never returning. Izira doesn't want you. He chose me. And I will protect that choice with every breath in my body." 3 days, Rowan repeated, his footsteps retreating. 3 days until the council hearing. Prepare your arguments, dragon. As I'm taking my child back. One way or another. The doors slammed shut, and Izira heard Drake's roar of fury shake the very foundations of the fortress. Then his footsteps, fast and urgent, returning to her. "Izira." He pounded on the door. Let me in, love. Please. She fumbled with the lock, and then he was there, sweeping her into his arms, crushing her against his chest as he carried her back to the bed and held her like she might vanish. He can't, Izira sobbed against his chest, her hands fisting in his shirt. Drake, he can't take my baby. I don't care if he's sick, I don't care if it's his only chance, he can't have my child. He can't have us. He won't. Drake's voice was absolute, unshakable, even as she felt him trembling with rage and fear. I won't let him take you. Either of you. I swear it on everything I am, everything I have. He will not take my family from me. But the council, Izira pulled back, her sightless eyes filled with tears. You heard him. They'll rule in his favor. Biological parents, pack law. Then I'll fight the council, Drake interrupted, his hands cupping her face, his thumbs wiping away her tears. I'll fight all of them. I'll burn the world down if I have to, Izira. But I will not lose you. Do you understand me? I survived 300 years of loneliness after Sarah, and I will not survive losing you. I can't survive it. I'm so scared, Izira whispered, her hands clutching at his wrists. What if love isn't enough? What if? Love is always enough, Drake said fiercely, pressing his forehead against hers. It has to be. Because I love you more than I've loved anything in 3,000 years. I love you more than my horde, more than my territory, more than my own life. And that love makes me dangerous, Izira. It makes me capable of things I've never done before. Things I never would have done before. Like what? Izira asked, needing his strength, needing his certainty. Like going to war with the entire interspecies council if they try to take you from me, Drake said, his voice dropping to something dark and promising. Like making alliances I've refused for centuries. Like calling in debts that are older than most kingdoms. Like unleashing every ounce of power I've been holding back for 3 millennia. He kissed her desperately, deeply. I am a dragon, little wolf. I am ancient and powerful, and I have resources Rowan can't even imagine. And I will use every single one of them to keep my family together. 3 days. Izira breathed against his lips, her hands moving to his face, tracing the features she'd memorized. We have 3 days. Then we'd better not waste a single moment, Drake agreed, pulling her closer, his arms wrapping around her protectively. Because when that council convenes, they're not going to face a desperate pregnant wolf and a dragon in love. They're going to face an alpha female and her mate, both ready to fight for their family with everything they have. Alpha female? Izira pulled back, confused. You heard me, Drake said, and she could hear the fierce pride in his voice. No more hiding, no more letting others define your worth. You're my mate now, Izira. That makes you one of the most powerful beings in this territory. And it's time the council and Rowan learned exactly what happens when they threaten something a dragon claims as his own. Izira pressed closer to him, feeling his heartbeat thunder beneath her palm, matching her own racing pulse. Outside, dawn was breaking. Inside, a war was coming. But wrapped in Drake's arms, feeling his absolute devotion surrounding her like armor, Izira realized something. She wasn't the helpless blind Omega everyone had always seen. She was the woman a dragon would go to war for. The mother who would fight to the death for her child. The mate who'd been chosen not by fate but by love. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. Smash that like button if you're Team Drake. Drop a comment telling me what you think should happen at the council hearing. And subscribe so you don't miss the continuation of this story. Here's my question for you. Do you think Rowan deserves a second chance since he's infertile and this is his only child? Or should Drake and Izira's chosen family win over biological claims? And most importantly, what would you do if you were Izira? Drop your answers below along with what country you're watching from. Thank you for being here, for investing in Izira's journey, and for believing with me that love is worth fighting for.